To do is Superintendent Dixon, do you want to introduce our item 9? This is an information item. Got it? Oh, I didn't know she needed.
Okay, board members, regrouping after that quick lunch. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to have you hear from our good friends from the Utah System of Higher Education. I'll have them introduce themselves. Mel, I think Mel, you are taking lead, right? So we are able to attend a K-20 summit, and I know that you've had this opportunity, some of you in the past, to come together with our higher education partners and be very content focused on a topic. And we learn together, and then it results in either policy or practices that are seamless across our system. So we have an opportunity coming up again, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what that work will look like and then a possible joint resolution. So Melanie, go ahead.
For having me. My name is Melanie Heath. I'm Assistant Commissioner with the Utah System of Higher Education and work with the Board of Regents. I also want to introduce Nicole Batt. She is the Director of the Utah College Advising Corps, and she can answer any questions we have about that program. We're really excited about the K-20 Summit. It's a really important time, I think, in our state to talk about student access to post-secondary education. And what a great time to get all of the state education boards together to talk about this space that touches us all, which is the transition from high school to college. So we're getting together at Utah Valley University next Thursday, November 14th. We really, really would love for you all to come and participate in that conversation. We're hoping to keep it a smaller group where it's mostly policymakers talking about this transition space from high school to college. We want to talk about our changing demographics, how that affects our state's talent pipeline, what challenges that represents to us as we're trying to enroll more and more students in our post-secondary education system. And we'll also be talking about a lot of the work you guys have done with earning post-secondary education in high school, how we can encourage more students in that space. We'd also love to talk about just post-secondary access in general. I'd love Nicole to talk a bit about our college access advising program in a minute. And then we also wanted to talk about FAFSA applications and some of our statewide programs that are so meaningful for students. So the purpose of this summit is to come together as a state and really talk about this transition space from high school to college. We're hoping to have a joint board resolution that all of the state's education boards would vote on and approve. I think this may be the first time that has happened, which feels really exciting. And the resolution, which I think is in your board meeting materials, really sets up a really nice framework for how we want to deal with post-secondary access as a state. So really, it sets up a four-pronged approach. The first one is ensuring students have the right information so that they can make choices early about post-secondary opportunities. The next is the College Access Advising Program, where you guys were so wonderful at supporting that legislative request last year for the legislature, and we would love, with your adoption of the resolution, to have your support for that again. That places a recent college graduate in every high school in the state to guide students on the milestones to college. Which, again, Nicole's over that program, so she can talk a bit more about. The other two pieces of the resolution are, let me see if I can remember. So one is encouraging the use of state dollars towards post-secondary access, specific to underrepresented populations. And then the last is kind of the agreement that we need as a state, a statewide authoritative platform to guide K-12 students and returning adults through an online platform, through these conversations about what do I want to be, where should I go, and how can I pay. So that's a bit about the resolution. We're we want to have a conversation about that at the K-20 Summit and see if we can get your support for that resolution for you to then consider at your subsequent board meeting. And with that, I wanted to give some time to Nicole to talk a bit about what we've done with the College Access Advising Program, where we've expanded this year and where we hope to go with this $3 million budget request that the regions have put forward.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to y'all this afternoon. So the Utah College Advising Corps has been around for over 10 years. Last year, we had advisors in 12 schools, 11 in the Salt Lake Valley and 1 in St. George. This year, though, we've been able to grow to a pretty large number of advisors. We currently have 34 advisors in 4 different territories across the state, from St. George to the Orem, Provo area, in Salt Lake, and then up in Weber, Ogden. The advisors are recent college graduates and work to help seniors through all of the milestones to college. With the money for next year, we would look at another rapid increase in the number of advisors across the state, looking at about a total of 90 college access advisors serving 90 high schools in the state.
So with that, really excited. Sorry. We're really excited about the opportunity to partner. I think the time is ripe as a state to come together in this space, and there's a lot of work to be done in ensuring that higher education is accessible for all of our students. I also want to thank the steering committee, your own Tiffany Stanley and Karen Peterson from the governor's office, and Kim Zebarth from UTech, and others have really helped shape this event, and we're really excited to have all of you. So with that, Mr. Chair, I don't know if I can take questions if anyone has any.
All right, there we go. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
Thank you for being here today, and I look forward to the conversation and the opportunity coming up for us. I just have one question in regard to point number 4 on the resolution, where it talks about reprioritizing state dollars, and it talks about more post-secondary education options. Is that talking about that higher ed as part of their role in this are creating more opportunities, more majors, more areas of focus? What does the word "more" mean in that
That's a great
context?
question. I think when we compiled this, we were thinking it to mean college as 1, 2, 4, or more. So when we talk about post-secondary education, right, a lot of folks think that means college, which means a university. And we want students to be matched with the right post-secondary education opportunity for them, whether that's a tech school or a community college or more. So I take that's what that means. If that's a confusion, we're happy to make an edit.
Follow up or?
No, thanks.
So this resolution, Board Member Jenny Earl.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I guess I'm looking at this, I don't know, I'm trying to fully understand what it is. It's a lot of broad terms, that could mean a lot of things, right? Whoever's in charge is interpreting it. And even our stats here, I just think it's interesting. We've got a stat for 2065. I don't know how that's the way jobs and workforce and everything's changing, and the frequency of the way people change, even the way people get post-secondary education is changing. With many just getting the skills they need and going into the employment they want to go into. They're not necessarily going to a university. And I know it's built around different aspects here. I just feel like, I don't know, I just have concerns with it. I do have concerns with okay, I'm not gonna be able to get it out. Moving money around. So I don't know what that means either. These are broad things, so I'm having a hard time getting behind it. I know the intention's good. It's good to get in. Kids don't, I have a child in 11th grade, and I think, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And he says, I don't know. Don't push me, because I'll, when it's right, I'll know what it is. So, yeah, and I think as parents, I'm a little anxious going, okay, do we need to get on certain scholarships and certain classes, that type of a thing. But at the same time, leaving it up to kids and families to decide some of this. So I don't know, that isn't really a question, is it at all? But it's just more of a statement or concern that, anyways, that's my thoughts, so.
Okay, did you want to comment?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
No, I appreciate your comments, and I think they're really smart. The 2065 piece was from a report that our office did that looked at the state's shifting demographics and shows that we are, from 2020 to 2065, we're going to change from about 20% minority to 34% minority as a population. We know that enrollment gaps exist for white and minority populations in post-secondary. So what our office did is we extrapolated out those enrollments and said, if those gaps stay the same, by 2065, the state will lose out on 300,000 degrees and certificates. So for us, I think it's a good way to kind of contextualize this conversation as a state and saying our demographics are shifting. This is a really important conversation we have about how we can match students to the correct post-secondary opportunity. Like you mentioned, not everyone should or needs to go to university. If I can comment on the state dollars piece, the Board of Regents has done some work recently. They're looking at the state scholarships. We have several merit scholarships in our office. We also have Utah Promise, which is a new need-based scholarship just approved last year. And the Regents have assembled a scholarship task force to really look at where are our dollars prioritized as a state, and are they prioritized in the right way based on kind of this information that we're finding about opportunity gaps. And so this, I get that it's a little vague, but I think it's a bit of a calling card to us to say, are we prioritizing them the right way? What's our state's philosophy on state aid? And can we all come together and kind of look at this as agencies and move forward in partnership there? So, yeah.
Okay. Board Member Janet Cannon.
Yes, thank you for bringing this before us. I just have a bit of wordsmithing to suggest.
Oh, good, please.
So this is on your third point down, whereas earning a college certificate or degree is crucial to thrive in today's economy. This is being put together for the Regents and for the technical colleges, correct?
Correct.
And it seems to me like if we said something like earning a certificate or college degree is crucial, because the certificates are more the realm of the tech people. And when I think of college, I think of a degree, not a college certificate. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Board Member Mark Marsh.
Thank you for coming and talking to us today about a subject that was my first call that I took after having been appointed this summer to this position. On bullet point number 1, encourage high school students to set and achieve post-secondary goals that best help students succeed in their future workforce and educational endeavors. Sometimes in our human nature, especially in our youth, I can relate to this, we have changes in our minds of where we want to go, what we want to do, where we want to attend. And I think a big hurdle that you guys might look at, whether it's to deal with this particular subject or not, would be making it more logistically possible to have your students transfer between colleges. Oh gosh, you've been in Utah State, I'm at wherever, University of Utah, we'll only take 3 of your 6 credits because we don't use the other 3. They got to be able to, as they're taking their concurrent enrollment classes, be able to put those into whatever system they're doing, whether Weber offered at Utah State, University of Utah, whoever supplied that, UVU, so that they can still choose, even though Weber was their person at their high school, they want to go down south and go to Dixie, that they can still transfer that down, and all 6 credits went with them. Mm-hmm. So anyway, just a thought why you put this together.
Yeah. Can I comment on that? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
You can see me emphatically nodding over here. I'm like, yes, yes. The regions recognize that transfer is an incredible issue in Utah, and it's one of our main issues as a board that we want to, or that the regions have wanted to tackle this year. And in perpetuity, right? I know that there's a lot of question about transfer and concurrent enrollment transfer. We are working on currently a database that's accessible for students that will pull their college transcript and then let them know how the credits transfer at all the institutions in Utah. So I think that will be a really valuable resource, but it's kind of long overdue. So we're excited to tackle that, but thanks for that suggestion.
Board Member Linda Hansen.
So, question, this sounds a lot to me like the 66 by, or the 20, yeah, you know what I mean? 66 by 2020 goal, right? It sounds a lot like that, and we're almost to 2020. Are we going to see how we did on that one before we start on a new one that's so much the same?
I love that question. That's so good. So may I respond? So yeah, 66 by 2020 was something a lot of people talked about, and then it dropped a little bit. But yeah, I know. So depending on how you measure that goal, we're either at 69% or 49%. So a lot of the challenge of that goal was even in the numbers and definition themselves. I think there's a broader conversation in Utah right now about really post-secondary governance. We have a higher education strategic planning commission that the legislature put together that will be answering some of those questions. And I think this session, I think whatever happens this session, setting up some kind of goal that we as a state all agree on and can move towards, whether it's an attainment goal, a completion goal, or something like that, is going to be an important next step. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, follow up. Oh, sorry. I thought it was still on.
So how is what you're going to do now going to be different than that so that it doesn't just drop the same way that one dropped? Because we did a goal. I mean, we all worked on it together. I remember we all worked on it together. The legislature passed it. Everything was good.
Yeah.
We're all going to work on this. And so it sounds a lot the same. So how is what you're going to, what are you going to do that's different so
Yeah.
that you have a different outcome?
That's a great question. I think that starting at this point before a goal is set is a meaningful place to start. I would love your input moving forward about what we can do differently. I'd love to work together on the messaging around the 66 by 2020, or what that turns into, the state's next attainment goal. I wasn't around when that was set in 2010, but I think that collaborating more intentionally together beforehand and during the creation of that is going to be really meaningful. I think we also have this call to action where we know our state's diversifying, and we need to be really thoughtful about how we move forward to make sure that post-secondary education is attainable and achievable and accessible for everyone. So I would love to have further conversations about that. Yeah, thanks.
Board Member Sean Newell.
I want to thank you for being here today. The point that you're making about this demographic shift is something that's unavoidable here in our state. We're going to see it, especially here in the Salt Lake Valley. Those numbers are going to be even more significantly toward the minority here in a very short period of time before 2065. So it's important that we address this issue as it will impact us economically. And I think it'll behoove everyone to be a part of this event that's going on down there. I won't make it till the evening because I'm getting a certificate from the University of Utah that I'm working on. But we need to open up our lens and to see what's really happening in our communities and understand how what we do impacts that, leading into the secondary education. We need to have choice available. We need to create mechanisms where people understand how to navigate to be able to continue their education. And I think it's really important that we find some way to get involved in and gain a greater understanding of what's going on here, the real stuff with the people and the impact it's going to have on us.
I want to just talk a bit more about the advising program because it's been proven to be incredibly successful in helping specifically first generation and underrepresented students in high school make a decision about post-secondary and support them in that journey. The schools where the advisor has been in for the last 12-ish years, they've seen a 5 to 9% increase in college enrollment for a specific cohort within that high school senior class that's underserved. And so we know this program works. It's based on data. We're excited about the way that the program's set up gives LEAs an incredible amount of flexibility with how they're using their advisor. There's a direct reporting line from the advisor to the high school counselor, and so they're really integrated into the high school counselor's team. And they're all kind of working together to create a college-going culture in those high schools. So I don't know if, Nicole, you wanted to say anything else?
So thank you, Melanie. We work in different schools in different ways with the staff, and I think the point that you made about reaching out to the community is so important. We know that in one of our high schools, a large population of the students don't live around that high school. They live miles away and on the other side of I-15. So this year, our advisor, in partnership with some of the other college advising programs in the school, held FAFSA nights in the local community learning center nearest to the neighborhoods, so that students and parents could come with their families and get the information they need about the next steps. So we're definitely trying new interventions. We're trying to engage parents. The advisors are constantly making phone calls home to parents to talk about things that are coming up and what they need to know to engage the parents in this process. So,
Board Member Bolter?
Okay, so I'm reading your whereases.
Yeah.
I like the first two. The third one I'm having a bit of a hard time with. The part that says crucial to thrive. Because I know a lot of people that just have a high school diploma, and boy, are they thriving. Maybe a better word would be beneficial. In today's economy, I don't buy into the idea that it's crucial to thrive. The other whereas is the quality of life in Utah heavily depends on the educational attainment of its citizens. I don't know how to fix it. I don't like it. I don't know how to fix it. I have nothing to give you. I just would caution to just use words like heavily depends, and because it's a loaded word. And then who determines somebody's educational attainment? And who determines whether or not a person is happy or thriving? Like, who gets to set up that status for someone else? So I would just kind of watch out for those words.
Good feedback, thank you.
Vice Chair Brittany Cummins?
Thanks for sharing your experience with the Advising Corps, and I just had one question about it. At what age do students start to engage with this advisor? And does this advisor, in conjunction with their counselors, talk about the options of concurrent enrollment and then how that leads into future college or certificate stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. The advisors spend about 90% of their time with seniors. We are trying to have one-on-one meetings with 70% of the senior class, and as you can imagine, in some of the schools, that's a big ask. We do some outreach to the juniors. We do a lot of presentations talking about the value of concurrent enrollment and what to expect, what they need to be watching out for as they're coming up to their senior year, and those milestones that we'll then cover with them. But primarily, we're working with seniors, just helping them through all of the details and all of the milestones to actually get them to what their next post-secondary decision is. So.
Board Member Lear?
Thanks. I have I hope a really easy question, and you may tell me I'm a liar, but I've talked to a number of 30-somethings who are saying, I don't know what to do with my life, and I've got this college degree, or I have even a graduate degree. And I've, based on my children's experience, a couple of them who are older than you are, I've said, try career counseling at a university. I want to make sure that there is still such a thing, that even students who may have graduated 5 years before and haven't found their perfect situation yet, is there something like that, and does it cost money, and where's the best contact? And I know that there are many universities, but
Yeah.
speak to that if you could, please.
Sure. I will say yes. Every institution every public college and university has a very robust career counseling center. Students are able to access that as alumni or during their college experience. I would also guide was it your niece?
Oh, no, this is just random
Oh,
people.
just okay.
These are very random thoughts about how did you find your bliss, you know?
Yeah. I will also add that Utah Futures actually has a really great tool called So Can You on there, and it takes you through, I think it takes about half an hour, but it's kind of an interest profiler. And so you can take this quiz, make an account, take the quiz, and it tells you with a pretty high degree of accuracy from what I can tell, where your skill sets are and what careers would best kind of support you there. So that's a free resource that I think might be a good place to start, and then maybe take that to the Career Center for next steps.
And just short follow-up, is the journey to the Career Center, is that free also, or do you pay for that?
No, that's free.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not. I feel so much better. Thank you so much.
I am not seeing any other questions or comments on this, but, there is one, but maybe this is in closing. So if I might take the liberty here, thank you for what you do. The advisory court, it's starting, they're innovative, and I've had only a little bit of experience with them, but a lot of times they are really good at saying, you don't have to know what you're going to be here, but here's this opportunity, and here's your time frame that you kind of need to decide, but you can get this stuff done to kind of get them in the queue, get them thinking of something outside of high school. And so to your advisory core, I guess that's what you're calling, if you express my appreciation for their good work and being in that space and place for these students, because a lot of them absolutely do not know that there's life after high school. And so thank you. So Superintendent Dixon, is this kind of a wrap up here? Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, and I guess maybe you can nod if I'm correct, that the resolution, there will be more context provided and explanation next week, so that if board members had further questions, that would provide more context. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, and there's a place for discussion after the bulk of the summit, so I'll take all of this feedback and wordsmith it some more, and then we can all look at it as a group, and there's another place for input, so.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Sure, yeah. We just so appreciate your willingness to collaborate with us. We are really, really excited about working more closely together in the future about this huge opportunity that the state has to ensure students have access to post-secondary education. So thank you so much for having us. And again, we really appreciate your support too, explicitly for the College Access Advising Program. If you have any questions, I'm really happy to give my email or anything if there's further questions about that. But when you're up on the Hill this session, it would be great if you talked about it. So, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome to stick around through the rest of the day if you'd like. It could be entertaining, I'm not sure. So thank you.